Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I got a really great comment, or question I should say, on my channel the other day, and I was going to use it for Ask a Crafter, but then I realized that it really needed its own thing, and this lady had written in, and she said that she does a lot of crafts like I do, has a lot of different projects going, but then loses interest and then has all these half-finished projects, and it's very discouraging. And how do you deal with being a multi-crafter and having all these different projects going? And you know, it really struck a chord at that time. The last 2 weeks I've been feeling very overwhelmed and anxious, and just be like, oh, I got to get this done, and I got to get that done, and I got to get this done, and I got to do this, and I got to optimize that. And because my art is my business, I find that I'm often pulled in a lot of different directions, and I'm either doing a custom frame job for one person, or I'm doing a video for hire for somebody, or I'm just doing my own work, projects that I just want to get done for myself, and I just feel like I get pulled on all these different directions, and sometimes I don't get around to picking up after my project or finishing a project. Like if I'm doing a like for instance, okay, like I have my UFO drawer here. What happens a lot of times, because I'm not a big computer person, I don't like to edit a lot, so I kind of do a lot of my tutorials like how they do on television, live television, where, you know, if I'm doing like a card or a piece of jewelry or something, I'll have like 4 or 5 of them made in different stages. So like I'm like, okay, and then you need to add the beads to the wire like this, continue on that way until you get all the way around, and then, you know, pick up the next piece and show you that. So when I'm done, I have one finished piece of jewelry, and then I've got 4 that are in various stages. And so then it's either, well, I got to sit down right now and finish this while I have everything out, or I'm gonna, you know, set it aside, leave it in one of my project trays where it can, you know, collect dust for 2 weeks until I finally look at it and say, oh my word, do I want to finish this or throw it away? So how I have dealt with this is I divide up what I've made. I kind of divide it up into different categories. So like if I'm doing my resin, which I only do about once a year, about this time of year actually, you end up doing resin for a day, and you end up with so many pendants and jewelry components that it's kind of like, well, what do I do with this? You know, because then you're like, well, it's going to take me weeks to use them all up. But if I look at it as I've just made a bunch of beads, a bunch of pendants, I'll put them in my storage just like I would my beads, my pendants. So I put them away, because if I'm making something and I consider it to be an art supply or a craft supply, then I put it away in my either my embellishment drawers or my bead drawers, or, you know, wherever it goes. This is my UFO box, which is only half full because last June I took my UFO box with me to a scrapbooking crop, and I told myself, you know, you either use it up or throw it out, because at this point, the things that I have in here, I have like when I'm doing like a coloring tutorial, and I usually end up with a few of the same thing because I'm doing one to test it out to see if I like it before I do the video. Then I've got like all these additional ones that I make in the course of the video for different stages and whatnot. So I mean, like I have 3 of these. You know, it's like I need to, I don't want to throw them away because they're pretty. They'd be great just put on the front of a card, but I just haven't got there yet, and I wasn't feeling inspired to do that. Something else I like to do is I love to color. So I've got like these cute little penny black mice colored, and these this is from my Sharpie tutorial, which I haven't done anything with, but my Sharpie marker tutorial. And then I like to do quilling, but I find that I'll make all these quill things, and what am I going to do with it? So I just put them in a CD case and throw them in my UFO drawer, and then when I get to that point again where this is full, I'll say, okay, Lindsay, use it up or throw it out. I'm also a pack rat, and I tend to not purge. I tend to hold on to stuff. And one thing I have right here is a box full of slides, like the old 35mm slides, because back in the day, you had to take slides of your artwork, and that's how you would get it into galleries or to magazines. And that, I mean, that was it. You had to have 35mm slides. And since I was poor, I shot it myself. And what you have to do when you shoot slides, you don't need to remember this because you'll never need to know it again, is you would take 3 photos of every picture. So you take one that would be what you think is the correct exposure, and you take one that was underexposed, and you take one that was overexposed, so that way you'll one in 3 of every one of your pictures should come out usable. So then you have all these leftovers that are no good. They're either too dark or too light. And a few years ago there was a big trend in scrapbooking to use 35mm slide frames or slide mounts as embellishment. So I kept them. I kept all these bad slides. My good slides are actually my filing cabinet and slide protectors in case, I don't know, the internet fails and you have to go back to using slides. I don't know, and when I'm ever going to need them again. But by golly, I took those slides and I'm keeping them. I haven't taken slides in years. Oh, what a pain. That's like good old days. No thank you. That was not the good old days, taking slides of your artwork. So this is my UFO thing, and you know, I just have all these random things. These are vinyl, vinyl samples, and they're actually really fun for card and scrapbook embellishment. So they all go in there, and then odds and ends that I don't really have a category for, like my skeleton leaves and stuff like that, all go in there. I feel like I have gone off track, because that's what happens when you have so many different projects you're working on. You get off track. I like to make jewelry, I like to paint, I like to scrapbook, I like to make cards, I like to stamp, and when you have all this stuff, you kind of jump, and then you end up with stuff half done. So my advice is, when you start to get feeling anxious and wound up because you have so many projects that are halfway done, or maybe you have a bunch of finished projects that are just sitting around and you're like, what am I gonna do with these finished projects? Who needs all these little gift boxes I've made? Put them all together. Ask yourself, can I use this? Can I use this for a gift box? Am I ever going to use it, or is it going to sit around and collect dust? If it's going to sit around and collect dust, either ask yourself, can I sell it at a craft fair? Can I give it to somebody that's going to use it, or should I just pitch it? Sometimes I end up just pitching stuff because they're like favor boxes that I've made for a display, and I have no good way to store them. I'm not going to need them for gift giving, so sometimes I pitch them. Sometimes I save them to sell in my craft fair booth, and I'm going to have another vlog coming up about pricing your work, because I get asked about that a lot. And then sometimes I just give it away. So a lot of times I sell it, or I send it off for publication, I give it away, or I pitch it for my finished stuff. I do not find it inspiring to keep my finished work around. I know some people can't let go of something they've painted. I personally can't hold on to it, because if I have a stack of things that I've made around, it doesn't make me want to make anything else. I feel like, well, why bother painting another picture? I got 50 pictures over here leaning against the wall. So that's just me personally. You may feel differently. You may want to hang everything up, and you may not be able to part with anything. But I think once you start producing a large volume of work, you'll want to kind of let it go. I consider like something you make, I feel like there's like different stages of it, and it's not complete until it's left your belonging, it's left your possession and gone off to somebody else. I consider that the last stage of art. So your first stage of art would be creating, the second stage would be completing it and enjoying it, and then the third stage, the final stage, is sending it off to live its life, to go elsewhere. You know, of course I have some of my paintings hanging upstairs in my house, but for the most part I want to make it, appreciate it, get rid of it. So, you know, that kind of helps me also not get overwhelmed with the amount of stuff. But if you do get overwhelmed, you know, look at your finished stuff. Figure out if you want to keep it, you want to throw it away, or you want to sell it, or give it away. Clean your area up. You'll find, like, if you have the urge to go shop and you know you have a lot of stuff already, clean your area. You'll find things that you forgot you had. You'll find things that have gone bad, like chunky paint and chunky glue, and pitch those things. You'll find stuff that you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I buy that? And stuff like that, or stuff I have a lot of that I've pack ratted that I can't get rid of. I'll design a craft class around it, and I'll go to my local school, because I have 3 school-age children, or I'll go to the library, I'll teach a class, and I'll use it up and get rid of it, and then people can enjoy what they've made with it and carry on. So hopefully this advice will help some of you guys that love to try a lot of different crafts and that can't bear to throw away or purge their supplies. And with craft fair season right around the corner, hopefully you can make a little money off of your projects. And so for your UFOs, finish them up, or pitch them, or store them as craft supplies for other future projects. You know, don't get down on yourself because you have some unfinished projects. But you will feel good if you finish them up and are done with them, I'll tell you that. I hope this advice helped you. How do you deal with your UFOs? How do you deal with being a multi-crafter? Are you a multi-crafter? I want to know. Leave a comment below. I love to hear your stories, and I love to hear what you're up to. I want to thank you so much for watching, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like my channel and you haven't already, and you want to get a video from me every day. You might not. Also, if you're not getting my updates and you are a subscriber, if you look at the subscribe button, there's a little gear next to it. If you click on that, you can select to have emails sent to you every time I have a new video, usually each evening. So there you go, little fun fact for you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy crafting.